Hello and welcome to IGN's News, Games, and More. I'm your host, Brian Altano. With me is Casey DeFreitas, Matt Kim, and Seth Macy. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
It's good to see you all. I feel like this is like this. Four of us have been on rotation on this show, and it feels like we've been in like a science class together, and we're the group that always gets to do like a certain project. And I've never really worked with anybody else in the class, nor do I want to, because this is the group. This is the winning team right here. For those of you just joining us, News, Games, and More is IGN's daily news show that covers, you guessed it, news, games, and more. And today I think I would say we definitely have something from every one of those categories.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with games, but also news. As you all know, the Xbox is launching next month. I still don't know what to call it. Do you just call it the Xbox Series?
The series.
No,
Do you say them both?
I say Series X.
I say
You
both.
don't-
Yeah.
So so Matt, you pretend the Series S doesn't exist. Casey, you say, but you're equal to everybody.
X, Series S.
Seth, what about you?
Series.
I just
Series-
say X-ray Sierra X-ray. Keep it
Perfect.
Real. Yep. Keep it real.
Because sometimes I'm like, oh, this game is coming to PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series family.
No,
I
that's too
guess
long.
that does make sense.
Yes, a little bit. Let us know in the comments what you call it. I won't
Yeah,
read
we
them,
wanna know,
but
what do you
just
call your
get that
Xbox?
out of your system.
Polymorph on Twitch says hopefully one day we'll just say the Xbox. It's all in caps.
I'm into
Give us
that.
some time.
So as you all know, the Series XS family, whatever you want to call them, launches on November 10th. And in lieu of physical events this year, Microsoft just had like a weird long history of doing like kind of launch party shaped things. I think back to like the Xbox 360 where like Elijah Wood was on MTV and we were like, what is this? You know? Just to go way back, they are doing a series of digital events that they are sort of cryptically teasing on Twitter. They are essentially going to launch the system globally at the exact same time across every single region, which is super cool. And I believe the first of which is New Zealand. Like they get it earliest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Australia and New
time
Zealand
zones.
typically get like the first in on like global launch events for games. Like when a game like I think Call of Duty Mobile, when it was doing a global rollout, started on Australia and New Zealand and it goes from there backwards.
Why didn't they warn us about 2020? We could have had like a
'cause they're
5-hour heads up.
Because they're jerks.
That's true.
No, whenever there's a game coming out and it's big, we always ask our Australian counterparts to like post their stuff as soon as they can because they're allowed to post stuff before we are because of our time zones.
Right. So they're after teasing announcements of the last few days, the official Xbox Australia and New Zealand account tweeted out a short clip of a gorgeous vista from Lake Wakatipu in Queenstown, New Zealand, and the clip is accompanied by a date and time with fans asked to tune in on November. They followed up with the Xbox ANZ account, adding that this will be 100% socially distanced and virtual event, so fans can tune in regardless. We don't know much more than this right now, so I guess Seth, let's start with you. What do you expect from this? Like, how do you think fans will be able to actually interact with this stuff?
I don't know. Like, are they gonna take your avatar and just like make a line out of them inside of a virtual store, or you could talk about like what games you're gonna get? I don't know what to expect. I'm excited to see, and that's one of my favorite things when I just don't know. Like, surprise me. I love being surprised.
Casey, is this the first time that you've pre-ordered a system without holding it or seeing it, like actually seeing it in person, like touching a controller in a Best Buy?
I mean, I guess I technically pre-ordered the Wii sight unseen and the Wii U sight. Nope. I got it. I got to hold the Wii U before I pre-ordered it. But definitely the Wii. But that was done in person, like surrounded by a bunch of people when I was skipping school. So
Right.
I didn't get that same experience. I didn't get to skip work to go and pre-order. I had to pre-order while doing work on this very show. So I guess that's kind of the same thing.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Virtual.
I remember that. You were just like clicking away and we were like, hey, Casey, you've been quiet for a while. You're like, yeah, I'm
Pre-ordering a
pre-ordering an
PlayStation.
Xbox.
I was I believe I hosted the like Nintendo Switch reveal stream in January, and I think pre-orders went up that night, and we were doing like a
Yeah, we were
Nintendo
all
voice
there.
chat live. Yeah, and we were like clicking buttons I was like hosting the show, and I was like, "So, Alana, what games do you think?" I was just like, whatever you could do. Matt, how do you think these things are going to shape up? Is this going to be just like a WMV file that they drop like across the planet at once?
Yeah,
Or
it's gonna be weird, right? Like, cause it's always cool to be the first guy in line to get the first Xbox or first PlayStation ever, right? That's sold in retail. So I guess they can't do that, which is a bummer. Hopefully they bring I don't know, maybe they bring some cool guests. Maybe Master Chief will be there. Maybe Halo will be now. Maybe a virtual avatar of Master Chief is what I had in mind, and he'd be like, "Hey folks,
Yeah.
it's me, Master Chief, and you're in the virtual line."
And
He's
hologram
too
Tupac.
serious for
Yeah.
this stuff.
I'm having a laugh. I don't know what's gonna happen. It sounds fun. I hope they bring some fun guests. Maybe there will be a dorky Master Chief who sounds like me, but there won't be. I don't know. It'll be
I mean,
cool.
Master Chief is on the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
he
Gonna
is.
have Master Chief. Master Chief is gonna get one of the new Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, and he's gonna hold them like this, and then he's gonna yeet them into the lake.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yay! Here's the launch. We're launching the Xboxes. Congratulations on watching the
Dude,
Xbox.
I would pay good money to see that. Now I'm an
Right.
Xbox fan and I love what they're doing. I think it would just be hilarious to see Master Chief throw two consoles into a lake. That's just it's a funny visual. I know some people would be upset about that.
I have another goof.
Okay.
Oh,
A Series X comes out,
Mhm.
like a virtual Series X comes out of the lake, right? And if it sees its own shadow, it's 2 weeks until the console's actually launched. Like they delay the console
Oh,
launch by 2
man.
weeks if it sees its shadow.
That's crazy.
But
But
they throw a huge party on the lake that lasts for 2 weeks. And then people can occupy themselves while they're waiting. No, I think there's a lot of emphasis on this lake. I don't specifically think this lake is going to be part of the actual event. They could project a laser light show Disney style above the lake, like a fireworks type thing. I'll put it this way. We've been doing this kind of stuff for 8-9 months now, and it's old. It's corny. This is fun. I'm having a great time talking to you guys.
Forchi has a really good point. The console doesn't have eyes, so we're safe
Yes.
from
Yes.
seeing its shadow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh. Right.
I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
be unpacking that one for years to come. That's gonna haunt me for a very long time. No, I like I'll put it this way. We've been watching all these virtual events, and they're like rarely sort of like captivate in the same way a real life thing does. I think like cutting to a line of a bunch of people wearing masks, like socially distancing, waiting out in the cold to buy a console is like it's just not the same. It's like I've gone to like midnight launches for stuff at the Nintendo World Store. I went and got, I believe it was like Super Mario Galaxy 2. Like Reggie was there and he's like, "Who wants to meet Mario?" And it's like a whole big thing. We got drunk. It was great, but it's hard to do that now, to do any of that. And so like
It's hard to get drunk with Mario in 2020.
you can. I got one right here. Just I got a beer fridge in here. Come on over, hang out. Casey is allergic to that idea. So yeah, let us know what you expect from these events. I wonder if they'll do like the celebrity Zoom call thing where they just zoom in a bunch of people and go like, "Hey, my name is Jared Leto.
What?
I'm really excited for the Xbox." I just don't see that happening.
Speaking of Jared Leto,
yes, let's do that segue. Speaking of Jared Leto, the internet's favorite Joker is returning in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
All right.
Yeah. No. Okay. So
I think like half of our comments have been like, "Why?"
I know.
Right.
It seemed like everybody on Twitter was like very fanatic about getting the Snyder Cut out, except IGN commenters who seem largely anti-Snyder Cut. And
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's at least from the reaction I'm seeing from our news story. It seems like most people are like, "Man, this is gonna bomb just as hard as the original Justice League." And I was kind of surprised because like on Twitter, it seems like everybody wants this, but our community seems to say otherwise. And you know what? I'm with them. I don't see any reason why we need the Snyder Cut, but here we are, and now it has Jared Leto in it.
So I don't want to say that like the bar or our standards have lowered, but we at some point this year I think we ran out of the movies that they made already.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a
Strategic movie reserve has been
there's
used
a few
up.
left, and a lot of the ones that were like really good to go got moved to like 2021 or 2022. The Batman like literally got COVID and they delayed his movie, and they're out shooting it again. Robert Pattinson, got sick. He's better now. And so I didn't like the Justice League movie when I saw it, but the idea of them making like a 4-hour version of it that keeps bringing in all these completely crazy ideas is at the very least immensely fascinating to me. Like that's I don't want to poop on it. I don't want to tell people not to be excited for it. If you're excited for it, I'm happy for you. I find this to be like incredibly interesting that they're like that they brought in this Joker.
Yeah,
specifically.
I will watch it.
I wanted to point this out since some people in the chat on YouTube are saying they're using leftover footage, but they're actually Jared Leto is coming in to do reshoots with some other cast members, and this is going to be a multi-day event on HBO
Multi-episode
Max.
event.
Multi-episode
Yeah.
event.
4 parts. Yeah, it was a little confusing because when they announced the Snyder cut, which is officially Zack Snyder's Justice League, when they announced it back in May with just him being like, "Hey, it's happening," there was a lot of weird conflicting reports like, "Oh, they're just gonna use leftover footage. None of the original Justice League actors like Batman or Superman are gonna return for reshoots." And then after DC Fandom, which was over the summer, they said, actually, we changed our mind. Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, they're all coming back for reshoots. And apparently now so is Jared Leto, who is like coming in for real filming stuff, not just like old footage being spliced in.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't expect any of that either. I thought the same. I thought it was going to be just leftover footage and just cut in a different way. So
yeah, no, I think it was like the stars sort of aligned on this one because HBO Max is looking for new content, and they have this massive partnership with DC via Warner Brothers, and I think that like there's room for them to do something big and crazy. The idea of dropping it as a 4-part series and then releasing it all at once as a movie is, I think, pretty smart. And I understand the theory about the leftover footage because I remember after Suicide Squad, there was like a lot of talk from Jared Leto where he was like pretty pissed off that they shot a ton of stuff with him and he's only in the movie for like a few minutes. And like, I don't, it's a very tough situation. I guess this is sort of like endemic of the Justice League movie story at large, is that you can't walk out of these movies being like, that was great. But at the same time, that character was super developed and we got everything we needed from him. Like that, the Justice League or the Jared Leto Suicide Squad Joker was like, we knew nothing about him. Like he was in the movie for like 2.5 minutes. And so if there's a bunch of stuff they can flesh him out with or make him more menacing, like at the very least, I think he's a more interesting villain than like the CG blob they fought the last time at the end of Suicide Squad or in Justice League or, I'm not a fan of these films, but I'm happy that you're happy out there.
I'm gonna watch them. I remember watching the first Justice League, and I cannot tell you what happened in that movie. But you're right. Like this cost $30 million, to remake, and he's essentially remaking his own movie that he only filmed part of. It's wild, unprecedented.
Also, a quick shout out to the chat. Kevin H. Moore, Eduardo Segura, and Forchi Forchi all wanted to say that Seth Macy is the GOAT, which is Forchi Forchi's spirit animal. So
I totally agree. Seth is a great guy.
I was born the same year as another GOAT, Tom Brady. So there you go.
Did not know
He's
that.
a villain.
Star
He's
Wars.
a villain.
Star Wars came out that year. Kanye was premiered. He dropped that
This
year.
is not helping you right now. None of this. You were really the belle of the ball for a few seconds.
I said
there.
Star Wars. Come on now.
That's good.
I see that Black Series Boba Fett helmet behind you. Don't even.
I've never seen Star Wars.
Some real nerd crap.
I don't know how to do this segue, but we'll try. Speaking of potentially longer versions of the thing that some of you might love already. Nope, that didn't work. Sucker Punch is potentially staffing up. They put up some job listings
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
for writers. Yeah, so Ghost of Tsushima, I think that the more and more I reflect on this year, honestly, like one of my favorite moments of the year so far, one of my favorite games of the year so far. I think that like the way the internet came together around that game, and like you went on Twitter, which was a garbage website all year, and was suddenly filled with these beautiful photographs of like one of the prettiest games ever, was just like awesome. So yeah, they put up a job listing for a narrative writing job that we don't know if it's Ghost of Tsushima 2, if it's like a spin-off, if it's just more content. But they said specifically the requirements of this particular narrative writer position ask for a desire to write stories set in feudal Japan. Considering Ghost of Tsushima takes place during the time period in 1274 to be exact, this could indicate that Sucker Punch isn't quite done with this timeline yet. What do you guys think? Do you think this is like sequel? Is this spin-off, like sort of like First Light, like they did for Infamous?
So
I'm thinking.
No, you go ahead.
Well,
you go ahead, Seth.
I was gonna say I think this is a full-blown sequel. I think they're doing it.
What?
Yeah, start now. I mean, come on. That game was phenomenal success. Everybody loved it. It's like easily. Well, this is obviously my opinion, but it's the best looking PlayStation. I think it's the best looking game of this generation, actually. And like it's gonna look even better. It's everything about it is great. It's like the Assassin's Creed that everybody always wanted, set in feudal Japan, and now they can never do that now because it goes to Tsushima. So yeah, like I mean, this is a sequel. They're gonna make a sequel and make tons more money, and it's gonna be on PS5, and it's gonna be beautiful, and there will be the half a second load times will be gone. Those pesky half-second load times.
Casey, what's your theory?
No, I was just gonna say I wanted to give a quick shout out to Ghost of Tsushima Legends, the like multiplayer co-op PvE mode, because it is way more robust than I thought it was going to be. Like when I first heard about Ghost of Tsushima co-op, I thought it was just, oh, like someone will be able to load into your world and like run around and wreak havoc with you. No, it's like a whole thing. You pick a class, you unlock more classes. There are skills trees. There's like a ton of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's a whole different game and a whole different like storyline that you start off with. It's really freaking cool. So shout out to Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and it's totally free. You can go download it totally for free, and it's a totally different game mode.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's like immensely popular right now, and it's like people absolutely love it. I really can't wait to dig in. I needed like an excuse to jump in that game. I platinumed it, and so I did like, and I don't do that often, but I was just like totally hooked on that world. It was just such a fun world. Like it's crazy that how much time I spent like not even on a horseback in that world, just like running around on foot because it was just so beautiful. Matt, what do you think this is? You wrote this story, right?
I did not. No,
you did not write this story. You are fired. No, I don't have that power.
Oh, thank God. No, I think it's cool. I mean, obviously, I think the fastest selling new IP from Sony is Ghost of Tsushima. Like clearly, it's a runaway success, and I if not a full blown sequel, at least more full fledged content, and if or a swerve, just completely unrelated, but also set in feudal Japan. They'll call it Spirit of Kyoto, and it's just completely different. And it's a first-person shooter.
What?
Yep. It's either more Tsushima or it's the crazy idea that I just pitched to all y'all.
I think that you see, similar to Seth before, I was on board with a lot of things you were saying, and then I think that was your Kanye West Tom Brady moment where you lost us. But I love it. So my theory is that like Sucker Punch they are a very sort of like I don't want to say like cautious studio, but they are painstakingly detailed. They take their time. It was 7 years between Infamous Second Son and Ghost of Tsushima. Those are worlds apart, like almost literally. And it's to me like if we had just seen this game come out and sell a lot, and then they went radio silent, then I would be like, okay, maybe they're doing like a full-on spin-off or like a sequel or something like that. But I think that like the fact that they've been pretty steady on putting content out for this game, and the whole staff is still there, the whole team's still there, they're all working on it. The legend stuff like seems like it's just going to keep growing for them. I have a feeling this is going to be like a sizable like sort of story that happens within the original game. Like I don't think you'll have to purchase like a separate game for it. There might be like a DLC charge for it, and I think this will be specifically like something that's PlayStation 5 exclusive. Like that's my theory, is that they'll build out. And I like your Kyoto idea of like basically going to a new area, not necessarily in first person. Although your cinematography, your camera mode will be a first person shooter. Sort of. But yeah, that's my theory. I don't know. I'll buy it either way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Or get it for free with how Sucker Punch has been handling their content.
yeah, totally.
Right.
You just,
Seth, do you want to try the segue on this one? I bet you can do it.
Well, I mean, I could I could vamp for a little bit. I could talk about Sucker Punch, but boy, I'll tell you something. If we're gonna see the return of Ghost of Tsushima, it better be like Michael Keaton's Batman Return.
that's pretty good.
I thought you were gonna go with like Batman sucker punching somebody type of thing, but
I was thinking about it like like the Adam West, like wham in a big, but I don't have a giant title card to hold up of an onomatopoeia.
We'll get you some of those.
Thank you, please.
Yes.
Bargain management.
Michael Keaton is apparently in talks or talking about or having conversations about the potential to return as his version of Batman in the upcoming Ezra Miller Flash movie, which has already brought in a whole bunch of sort of like alternate, universe, alternate dimension Batmans, including Ben Affleck, who's going to be in the movie for a significant amount of time, apparently. Oh. And so Michael Keaton told Jimmy Kimmel that he couldn't confirm anything on that front when asked about it. He said, "We're having discussions, as they say. We're talking about it. We'll see if it happens."
All right.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Okay. There's also not a chance, but it's probably a chance.
Casey, what were you going to say, Matt? Go for it.
Do you guys want to hear my favorite recent Michael Keaton superhero story?
Yeah.
I reported this 2 jobs ago, but apparently on the set of Spider-Man Homecoming, where he was the villain, the Vulture, he would just shout, "I'm Batman" during fights, during fight choreography scenes with Spider-Man. At least according to Tom Holland. Tom Holland gave an interview where it's like, "Yeah, it was great working with Michael Keaton. He did this weird thing though, where he just shouted, 'I'm Batman' whenever we were filming fight scenes together. But other than that, it was great." I'm just like, what?
That's insane, and I love it.
Is that true, or was he?
That's what Tom Holland says. If I'm
being sarcastic,
he must be
Michael
alive.
Keaton, he started out his career as a stand-up comic. He's a hilarious dude.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised. He's if you want to see like the funny Michael Keaton, watch the Norm Macdonald Has a Show episode with him, and it's like hilarious. Like they're both hilarious people. But yeah, I don't doubt it.
Well, anyway, that's my Michael Keaton story.
It's a good story, Matt.
Do you have a Michael Keaton story? Let us know in the comments. No, Casey, are you into the Flash?
I've into in what way, Brian? No, I'm not a particularly big DC fan, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I've only watched like half of the DC movies. I haven't watched Suicide Squad or the Justice League. You can kick me off the show.
You lucked out. No, you lucked out.
No, are you kidding me? That's like, I don't know. That's like saying that you didn't eat at 2 restaurants where people got food poisoning. Like it also means you ate at the good restaurants.
Job? What if it's your job to like?
Your job is not to get food poisoning.
Right.
Did you see Wonder Woman?
Yes, I did see Wonder Woman.
Did you see Aquaman?
I fell asleep halfway through.
In Aquaman? I haven't seen Aquaman yet either, but I'll get to it. It sounds like a good time. Man goes underwater, talks to the fish and the animals. It sounds like a good time. So anyway, will this news, if it happens, get you to see this movie?
Uh,
You can say no.
I mean,
it's perfectly acceptable to not be
I'll
interested
watch
in
it when
something.
I don't know. These are the kind of movies that it's like if I'm like hanging out with friends and they're like, "Let's watch a movie," and like that's a superhero movies are pretty palatable for everyone, even if they're not great. They're still fun to watch, and they're also my go-to be on an airplane movies. And both of those things will probably not happen in the next year, so I will probably not watch this movie anytime
I
soon.
I was about to
I'm
say the
sorry,
same
I'm not a
thing.
big movie person. This is why I'm on the games team and not the entertainment team.
No, it's totally fine. I was about to say the same thing. This is 100% an airplane movie for me, and I don't know when that's going to happen. So that's a bummer. I wish there was like something like what's a really like tedious thing that we could do on the ground for 7 hours that would involve us watching a movie of this caliber.
I'll tell you what. I'll load up Flight Simulator. You guys could just sit, and there's a mode where you can look out the window. You set the autopilot, and you can just look out the window.
Have you
Like-
guys seen that game? I forget what it's called, but it's like a flight simulator game, but you're in coach.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but you're right. And it's real time, so you're there
Yeah.
for 5 or 6 hours or however long you set your plane time to. You
Yeah.
sit in, you take off. They give you peanuts and stuff midway through. You open your
Oh, wow.
tray to eat food. You put it away. You just sit
Yeah,
in
you have some in-flight magazines. You have like the little screen you can watch like royalty-free old movies on and stuff like that. And then you can bring your tray down and they'll bring you dinner, and it has like this beautifully rendered like croissant and that like weird blocky
Yep.
like cake that they give you.
Yeah.
It's incredibly mundane. There's like people crying, like the guy will lean back into you and you just have to sit there for 6 hours. I really want to
How are they going to recreate the specific experience of looking at this delicious looking croissant, but then actually biting into it and finding that it's cold and hard and definitely kind of stale? Like, how do they recreate that in a video game, Brian?
I was on a flight once where they gave us like bread and it was on top of this little ice cream cup, and the bread was just like cold, and everybody was like, "How? Like you gave us frozen bread? What are we supposed to do? Like sit on it like a hen?"
You're supposed to make an ice cream sandwich out of it. That's why they give you ice cream. With it.
Oh, that's a really good idea. So anyway, check out that game that we can't remember the name of.
It's published.
really good
It's
time.
published by AMC. I kid you not.
They're having a year.
The TV channel.
Oh, not the movie theater chain, or is that the same thing?
I think it might actually be the same thing. Maybe it's not. I don't actually know. But by the TV channel, by the people who put on The Walking Dead, they are publishing this airplane game.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, maybe we can watch The Flash. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales got a new suit revealed today. I didn't even bother doing a segue on that one. Called the Crimson Cowl. Did you guys see this?
I did.
Yeah.
It's my immediate thought was it's uncomfortable. This looks very uncomfortable. What about you guys?
I'm
can't
thinking
imagine.
he has some fashion tape on his forehead to keep the hood in place.
Oh.
But other than that, I don't know. It looks cool. I like the
Yep.
description. It says some call it a hood, others call it a cowl. Regardless, it's never been done before, and it's a look our new Spider-Man owns.
Is
Fashion.
is it leather? Or like it looks like hot pants,
Pleather.
Yeah.
Pleather, yeah.
He looks
Like
very I mean, other than the cowl, from a distance, he looks very Michael Jackson Thriller.
yeah.
Zippers on his jacket or on his
Yeah. He's kind of MJ Thriller meets Spider-Gwen.
It's
Yeah.
weird that they say this hasn't been done before, because like Spider-Gwen originated
Spider-Gwen put it
the
first.
hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she originated the hood on the Spider-Man outfit first, right? So
Mhm. I can't unsee the fashion tape now.
Justice for Gwen fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, it doesn't look like it would breathe well. I mean, he made it, so he probably knows what he's doing, but like what is the
I think-
tactical
Hey,
advantage of a
Brian.
hoodie?
I think they're all pretty. I think most superhero costumes are by default uncomfortable, but I've always felt in my soul that the Spider-Man outfits were probably the most uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're just onesies, right? They're just onesies that you kind of have to like, and they. I don't like tight clothing. I like that's a personal preference. I don't like tight clothing. I imagine Spider-Man outfits are incredibly tight. Like I'm just,
Mhm.
but that's
Oh
just
my God.
me.
You just reminded me, like I think a year ago, for the last or whenever the last Spider-Man movie came out, Doritos sent me a spider suit, and of course I'm too big to fit into it.
What?
But my son was the perfect size, so he just like put on this spider suit, and we went. He was like, "Let's go downtown and walk around." And this was back when you could do that, so we just walked around in a spider suit, and he had no complaints about its comfort.
Wait,
Wow.
Doritos sent you a spider suit?
They're like, "Hey, we're sending you this special bag of Doritos," and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" And I opened it up, and inside was a spider suit that like folded out.
Inside the bag of
What?
Doritos?
It was yeah, I was like, "Oh,
Was
this
it?
bag of Doritos seems kind of suspect." And I opened it up, and it perfectly fit Connor at the time. And I've got like pictures of it. That doesn't do anybody any good, but yeah. And he enjoyed it enough that we walked around downtown of our town, and like people were coming up and like, "What's going on here? Can we take a picture? I don't understand. Why is Spider-Man here?"
As a father and a snack enthusiast, were you a little sad that there wasn't Doritos in there? Like for at
I
least a
mean,
second? Was there a
yeah,
moment?
obviously. But that would have made for an uncomfortable Spider-Man suit.
Mm,
A lot of crumbs. A lot of
Yes.
dust,
and
cheese
dust,
dust. You don't want
yeah.
that gets in crevices.
I will argue that the Doritos is probably why the spider suit didn't fit you to begin with. They have that superpower.
Hey.
We've all been there this year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, burn.
I think Spider-Man's costume looks incredibly comfortable.
Yeah, and I love
honestly.
the bold flavor of Doritos. So
Yeah, so it's worlds. You don't have to do. What are you doing? I just don't understand the tactical advantage of having a hoodie because it's like disguising you from a disguise that you're already wearing.
right. It's like
Yeah.
that Halo 5 reveal where Master Chief was wearing a burlap sack. Like he's
Yeah.
in armor. Why is he wearing a burlap sack?
Anyway, we're gonna get out of here a little bit early today. But before we go, we wanted to share a personal story from a person who just shared a personal story 4 seconds ago, which was weird and great. And so I imagine he'll continue to do that. Seth Macy had a exclusive reveal in his chimney the other day.
Yep.
When a
Exclusive
squirrel
drop.
got stuck.
A squirrel dropped into my chimney, and I'm in my basement laboratory here. The furnace is right there, and all of a sudden I heard this horrible scratching sound of a creature trying to crawl out of like 30 feet of metal chimney. And I called I shouldn't say that. I wanted to get the squirrel out. I thought it was within my capabilities to just like get this little fella out of there and take him into the forest and let him go. But that was not the case. My wife called a wildlife expert named Butch, who came to my house wearing Kevlar gloves. He said, "Oh yeah, grays. You don't want to mess with grays. They're nasty." So he read. Oh, you can see they're showing. I found out later that actually wasn't Butch. I didn't get that guy's name, but you can see him. He's reaching into my my furnace to catch a squirrel. He caught it and he goes, "Oh yeah." The Kevlar didn't stop the squirrel from biting his finger. But that dude is a medically retired former Army explosives ordnance disposal expert. He took an IED to the head in Iraq when he was trying to defuse it and got retired. And now he's like, and now I just catch squirrels. So that is the coolest guy I've ever met in my life.
What a career path.
Yeah, he had a cigarette that he stamped out before he came into my house. It was stuck to his boot, and it's still over there. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm gonna honor his memory for helping me out, helping out America.
You should frame it.
That's actually a great idea. Next
Bronze
week,
it.
I'll have it in
Bronze it.
I have a question. So
Yes.
you said the squirrel got dropped.
Yeah, it.
What do you mean
Oh,
by that?
that's the other thing. It had been using my chimney as a place to store its food for the winter. So when I looked into the damper control, my furnace was full of dried leaves that were probably a day or two away from catching on fire next time I fired up. So that was fortunate that the squirrel fell in there.
Squirrels eat dried leaves? That sounds dumb.
Well, it was making a nest in there to hold
to hold its
its food.
Oh, that's just weeks.
I thought
of
he
work.
was like, "Oh, we got big winter coming up. I'm gonna eat all these leaves. It's delicious." And then realized at the last second that was a bad idea.
Yeah. So thank you to the guy who came to my house. I wish I knew his name because he's awesome.
So is the squirrel free into the forest now, frolicking, eating his leaves?
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'll just take it to the park." He's like, "Unless you know somebody who you don't like."
I feel like he would have for real
Oh,
That's-
that guy would have done anything. He exuded bro energy. Like he was just like there for you if you needed him. It was.
Oh man.
And the squirrel is fine. That was a nasty looking squirrel.
Man.
Like
Yeah.
mean looking or?
Oh, it
or
was
like,
mean.
Oh,
It was screeching at him when he was putting it in the cage, just like shrieking like a banshee.
Oh my god.
I actually can't think of anybody I would deliver a squirrel to. I think everybody's had a hard enough year.
Yeah,
know?
that's.
Nobody I know personally. I mean, some people, like in politics.
Well, then
because-
maybe
Buddy.
somebody's really into squirrels, and you'd be doing them a favor. Like, I have a lot of squirrels in my life, and then this squirrel just appears on their doorstep. Like, thank you, squirrel god.
Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we did the show today. That was News, Games, and More. We learned a lot, really, about squirrels. I actually learned more about squirrels than I thought I would today. But when you put those videos up yesterday, Max Scoville was like, "This is the best thing that I'll ever see on Slack," and I think he's right. That's Slack is not great, and so to see a guy catch a squirrel with his hands, that was cool as hell.
That was powerful.
I'd say. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow with plenty more. Probably less squirrels unless somebody else on the IGN staff gets a squirrel stuck in their chimney. Maybe Seth got it delivered to their house. Who knows?
I will tell.
Stay tuned to find out, Casey. Hopefully it's not you. I don't even think I don't think it's me either. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Seth. And we will see you all tomorrow. Good night.
Bye.